Hey guys, welcome back. So it was an exhilarating football experience this match week 29 at the English Premier League. It was a mixed result for the big boys of English football and some of the underdogs, so to speak. They performed wonders. So, in case you missed any of the experience this Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm here to give you all of the tea that you need to know. Let's start with the game that everybody is talking about, which is the defeat that Manchester United suffered at St. James Park when they met Newcastle United. Newcastle has been a thorn in the flesh of Manchester United for quite a while. The last time Manchester United met Newcastle at St. James Park, the Red Devils suffered a 4-1 defeat. And yesterday's match was something that Michael Carrick never expected. He suffered his first defeat since he took over from Ruben Amorim January 17th. He has been winning games so far. He started with the Manchester derby between Manchester United and Man City. He won that game. He has defeated Arsenal. He has defeated a lot of big boys so far. And one would wonder why Newcastle proved stubborn. To be very honest, it was not an easy game for the Red Devils. It was not an easy game. You could tell that there are chances that Manchester United will lose this game. Although a lot of persons are blaming the defeat on the kind of substitution that Michael Carrick made, not bringing in Ahmad until very much later in the game. Mbuemo was already on a yellow card and he missed a lot of chances. Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes cost a penalty that made Manchester United concede their first goal when Gordon scored that amazing penalty. And this was the penalty that Newcastle was actually looking for when Ramsey formed a simulation at the 18-yard box that sent him out of the game. So it was an entertaining football. It was an entertaining football experience. The game ended 1-1 at the end of the first half. That that extra time period of the first half was very, very dramatic. It was very dramatic. Newcastle looking for a penalty they didn't get, but instead of getting a penalty, Ramsey got a red card, and later on the penalty that Newcastle was looking for, Bruno Fernandes handed it over to them. And before they could even round off with the celebration, Casemiro came with an equalizer with that amazing set piece that he scored. So both teams went into the second half with this energy to win, and they struggled. Manchester United struggled, Newcastle struggled. It was on and off for both sides until extra time in the second half that William Osula scored an amazing goal. You could tell that he was ready to score that goal by all means. Even at the point where he tripped as though he wanted to fall, he held his ground and he kept on pushing the ball until it went into the net of Manchester United. To be honest, Lamens did not know when that ball entered the net of Manchester United. So at the end of the day, Manchester United unbeaten run in 2026 came to an end yesterday in the hands of Newcastle. And moving into the next game, I believe they will try to cover every loose end. Michael Carrick is going to definitely go back to the drawing board and try to see where he made a mistake. What kind of tactical decision did he make that cost them this defeat? However, they are still sitting at the third position in the English Premier League table, so that position hasn't changed. You would think that Aston Villa would actually give them a run for that position, but Aston Villa was trashed by Chelsea. Chelsea defeated them 4-1. That game was not a game that Aston Villa saw coming, to be very honest. 4-1, and João Pedro scored his hat trick, and the other goal that made it 4 for Chelsea came from Cole Palmer. So Aston Villa, I think this should be their second defeat in a row. Yes, this should be their second defeat in a row. Remember that they were beaten by Wolves. That was last week. That affected that brought a lot of question to their title run. So they were beaten by Wolves, and now they are suffering another defeat from Chelsea. The last game that they even managed to put a fight was the game they played with Leeds that ended 1-1. That ended 1-1. So, however, they are still at the fourth. They are still at the fourth position in the table. How far they are able to hold that position, we cannot tell. With the way Chelsea is coming up and with the game that they just played, we will see how far Aston Villa can go in holding that position. You would think that okay, these guys are really doing all they can to ensure that they maintain that third position or that fourth position, or at the very least, they make it to the Champions League next season. But we don't know. It is the game of football. It is totally unpredictable. Anything can happen at any point in time. So we'll be watching the table closely. I'll be watching these teams closely. Now let's talk about Arsenal. Word on the street now suggests that it is very difficult for Arsenal to bottle this league at this point in time. Rival fans have been looking at Arsenal. Oh, they are going to bottle the league. They are used to bottling the league. They are always used to coming second place in the English Premier League. But with the way they are going, 7 points ahead of Manchester City, I don't see that happening. To be very honest, I don't see Arsenal bottling the league this time. The goal from Saka gave Arsenal their lead against Brighton. So Brighton Brighton was not able to put up a fight with Arsenal. Although you can say that it is 1-0, but that 1-0 is 3 points, and that is all that matters. So Saka was able to give Arsenal that win. Mikel Arteta, of course, I'm sure he smiled when he was leaving the field at the end of that game. However, Manchester City is somebody that is a team rather that a lot of persons are beginning to question their fighting spirit. Manchester City before when it is close to the period when the season is going to end, you see them putting up a lot of fights, a lot of fight. That's why people were saying that, oh, Arsenal is going to bottle the league, Manchester City is coming, they will do what they know how to do best. But drawing with Nottingham Forest gave Arsenal a lot of boost on the table. So Manchester City drew with Forest. I think that was yesterday or day before yesterday. I can't remember when the game was played. It should be either yesterday or day before yesterday. Semenyo was able to score a goal in that match. Rodri was able to score a goal, but Pep Guardiola's boys could not sustain the lead that they had. So Gibbs White came through for Nottingham Forest, and Anderson also came through for Nottingham Forest. So it was a 2-2. Yeah, it was yesterday. They played the game yesterday. I think City and Arsenal's game was something that a lot of persons were watching closely back to back, because City winning that game would definitely mean that they are still potential winners of the league. I'm not calling the league a done deal at this point in time. But come on, look at it. 7 points. 7 points. If City is going to meet Arsenal where they are, it means that Arsenal's next two games they will lose, and City's next two games they will win. Now, let us ask ourselves the honest question here. What are the odds of that happening? What are the chances that what I just said is going to happen? Arsenal will lose their next two games, Manchester City will win their next two games, and then we can still talk about a very tight title race. It is football, like I always say. Anything can happen. But kudos to Arsenal. They are doing very well. Maybe this will be that year. Maybe this will be that season that all of the backlash they've been suffering. Oh, you haven't won this for forever in a long time. The last time you guys raised the cup, it was you know all the banter that comes with football and the like. But Arsenal they may break that jinx this season, and I'm really really hoping that they get it, because come on, they've tried. Let's keep sentiment aside. Let's keep fanship aside. Let us look at football as it is. Let us look at tactics. Let us look at fighting spirit. Arsenal has always put up a very good fighting spirit, and if they win the league this season, they deserve it. They honestly deserve it, and I hope that they don't bottle it like they've been bottling previous seasons. Manchester United, they are counting their losses. It is now the thing that people are talking about now is the fact that, is it impossible for the Red Devils to win 5 games in a row? Is it impossible? They were close to getting it with I think 3 games that have already been won, and West Ham they had a 1-1 draw with West Ham. Then they won the next game, and they started that winning in a row. But right now, with what happened yesterday against Newcastle, that has been crushed. So they are going to start another run again. So let's see if they will be able to achieve that. Michael Carrick is doing well. There's no doubt about that. He has transformed this team to a very great extent. We know where Manchester United is coming from, and we can see the progress that Michael Carrick is making in the team. However, it only matters when this progress is converted into consistent winning. That consistency is the problem. It has always been the problem of Manchester United. However, I think this is even the most consistent they've been in terms of winning games. So City were not able to defeat Nottingham Forest. That game ended 2-2. West Ham defeated Fulham 1-0. Arsenal defeated Brighton 1-0. Newcastle defeated Manchester United 2-1. And Chelsea trashed. I need to use that word. Chelsea trashed Aston Villa 4-1. However, Liverpool, the title holders, I don't see them holding any title again, and it is even unlikely that they will go to the Champions League next season because, of course, Wolves defeated Liverpool. I think that was on Tuesday. Yes, that was on Tuesday. Wolves defeated Liverpool. Salah was able to score one goal in that game, but he wasn't able to. He wasn't able to. The team, they were not able to keep that lead, and Wolves came. Then they defeated them. I think they scored that winning goal in the extra time, like it was with Manchester United yesterday. So mixed result for the big boys of the English Premier League. Some are celebrating, some are counting their losses. The underdogs, some of them are also counting their losses, and some are equally celebrating. We're going to be keeping a close watch on the table. We're going to be keeping a close watch on some of these teams, and I'll come back another time to give you more updates on the English Premier League table. So see you next time. Bye for now.